This episode of All the Things Sort of Truth is brought to you by Sean Bachman. Sean is a resourceful type and very smart, a real leader. He knows that if you're going to do something, you've got to do it right. And that, my friends, is why he went to patreon.com/podcastatt, made a pledge, and is currently enjoying our best gag reels and deep cut discussions. Also, he might have just wanted to hear himself on our show, but both are good reasons if you ask me, really. And if you asked me, I'd tell you to be smart, be like Sean. All right, let's start the show. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to All the Things Sort of Truth, the alcohol-fueled chapter-by-chapter reread of the Sort of Truth series with a spinning vortex of craft beer on the side.
Wait, what?
I'm Nate.
And I'm Jade.
And today we're going to be talking about Chapter 49 of Wizard's First Rule.
That's the last one!
That's right. It's the last chapter. We
Yay!
finally made it.
Pretty stoked. Before we get into it, though, we are going to be talking a little bit about a few things. We are coming to the end of our giveaway, so if you wanted to enter that, you have to get that in by today. That is Wednesday, May 13th, 2020, if you forgot the year, the wonderful year that we're in.
How could you?
And to do that, you have to email, call, or text why you love the series, what it means to you. Our phone number is 616-259-0025. Our email is podcastatt@gmail.com. And we would love to hear from you.
That's right. And on top of that, we're going to be announcing the winner this coming Monday. That's the 18th of May, which will be a live episode. We had a lot of fun during the reading of this book, talking to you guys during our live episodes, and we can't wait to do it again.
Yep, that's going to be over on Spreaker, so you guys can join us there. We can talk about the whole book, not worrying about spoilers, any of that crap. And I wanted to let you guys know that we are not going to be doing a hiatus after the end of this book. We will be going straight into the second book, Stone of Tears, so you don't even have to wait. Other than that, I think we can get right into this chapter.
I think we should. There is a lot to cover. Compared to the recent chapters in this book, this one is a monster. It's like an hour and 20 minutes long, I think, in the Audible.
Yeah, something like that.
Big one.
And it should be, because this chapter is the fucking climax.
Right.
That's all I can tell you without spoiling the end of the book.
Yeah. All right, well, let's get started. Kaelin, Zed, and Chase enter the Garden of Life, and Zed knows right away all three boxes were there and that something else is wrong.
Yeah, he can't put his finger on it, but he knows something's fucked up.
Not a good sign if immediately the wizard has a bad feeling.
And the first thing he sees in the Garden of Life isn't like, oh, pretty flowers. It's like a crap ton of sorcerer's sand. Like, he's never seen this much in his life. He's only ever seen, like, a small handful, or, like, a pouch full,
yeah.
It says. And this is, like, a lot.
Enough to bathe in.
Yeah.
Poor Carl.
But the implications of what the sorcerer's sand means apparently scare Zed, which at first doesn't seem like a big deal, but, I mean, you know what the implications are. He's gonna do the box of Orden shit. Duh.
Yeah, all the stuff he's been up to lately could be a reason why he has all of it. Of course, it does make it sound like it's such a quantity that it's way more power than you could ever need.
Yeah, it's worth more than, like, kingdoms or whatever. Like, I get it. It just, you know, Zed. You know what he's doing. Zed looks and he sees the altar with the boxes and the covers removed off of all of them. Darken moved super quick once he got that third one, by the way. Whipped that cover right off.
It's been a week since he last spoke to Richard. Richard left and came back, and in that time, he had to have gotten the box. So it took him less than a week for sure.
I mean, Richard helped him out. He didn't have to worry about that second box, so he saved him a little bit of time.
True. True.
Rahl is standing in front of the boxes with his back turned to all of them, so he doesn't see them enter the room. And Zed's first reaction is to be a little bit confused about how Rahl ended up with the third box because they were like positive he didn't have that shit.
Yeah, they left it with Michael in safe hands.
Like way, way far away. It was nowhere near here.
Right.
But he knows the important part right now isn't worrying about where it came from. It's about dealing with it now that it's here. And the best solution is Kaylin touching him with her magic, which is the plan anyway. So, all right.
Yeah, so here we go. They start walking towards Rahl. Kaylin stops Zed and Chase, and she's like, hey, you guys stay here. Let me at him.
I got this.
Yeah, I got this.
Aw.
Exactly. Ooh. Ooh. Any other SOA fans out there? So Rahl turns around and he looks frightened. He's scared. He sees the lightning bolts on her face, and apparently he was not planning on that.
Yeah. Takes him aback a little bit.
Yeah. Does not care for. And Kaylin gets closer. Rahl pulls the sword of truth, which was white.
And at this point, if the reader wasn't aware, they are now. It is not Darken Rahl. It is Darken Richard.
Darken Richard. I like it.
So Zed throws lightning across the sand to knock the sword out of Darken Richard's hands as Kaylin closes in on him.
Yeah, this causes Darken Richard to start screaming at them in High Daharan. As we know, they can't understand.
Because apparently he had not thought in all of this time of a better solution to the Kaylin and Zed don't recognize me problem.
Right.
Or Chase. Like, he's known these people forever. He doesn't have some type of code like he does with Michael. What are you doing?
This is why you should have a secret handshake.
For
I'm
real.
just saying, maybe not with every person that you know, but like your bestie and you, definitely have a secret handshake. This problem solved right here. If he knew the shake, it would have been over. Like,
Yeah.
only Richard knows that. Obviously, this isn't him.
Like miming with the sword. Sword! Richard! Me?
Yeah.
Sword! But no. Zed notices at the last minute, just before Kaylin reaches out to touch him, that Darken Richard runs his fingers through his hair in much the same way that Richard does.
Yeah. Like Richard does when he's super stressed out. Like
Yeah.
maybe Richard does when he can't quite get his point across to people who can't quite understand him. Seemed a little familiar.
But it's just a second too late because Kaylin has released her magic into him and he falls to his knees and is like, command me, mistress. And Zed's like, shit, that sucks.
Yeah. And it's at that moment when the real Rahl comes in. And of course, he's got his entourage. So he comes in with Demon and he's got some guards. And Richard's brother Michael is there with him as well.
Yay.
So at that point, the enemy web is lifted. People can see Richard for who he is now.
Yeah.
Kaylin sees him, and the Kandar evaporates. So all the extra magic here in play is gone.
She lost her, like, rage power. My, like, small little side question was Darken, like, sitting over in the corner, watching and just waiting for this to happen? Because it's a little bit of thought, like, forethought for him to be like, oh, Richard's gonna come in. Kaylin's gonna touch him. It's gonna be super... But he also comes in the room, like, totally cool as a cucumber without saying anything. He's not like, ha! You guys fixed some shit for me. I didn't even have to do nothing.
I'll bet he had a peephole or something. Like, he was probably watching, waiting for the opportune moment. He seems like a guy who would do that. Him and Michael would be able to plan something that out. Like, all right, we're going to wait until this and this happen. Then we're going to walk out and we're going to be able to talk so much shit. It's going to be awesome.
That's my thing. If you were waiting, you should talk shit.
Yeah.
If you planned that out, you should have come out and been like, see what I made you do? You were the dumb people. Zed is immediately stuck in a invisible jail cell, and Chase is, like, frozen in place as he goes to pull his sword. Zed is beating himself up at this point because he's like, I'm so dumb.
Yeah. He just now realized he was already caught. And furthermore, he walked right into it.
And he didn't see that Richard was Richard before all of this went down. If he had realized a little bit sooner, they wouldn't be in this predicament.
You know, when you saw Darken Rahl acting really weird in the woods?
Yeah.
And you couldn't figure it out?
Super out of character.
I mean, if you didn't figure it out, you didn't figure it out. It's no sense to really be beating yourself up that bad. But that you did figure it out is something. Like, at least you know now, and you aren't going to try and murder Darken Richard now.
Right. Kaylin is not locked up. She pulls a knife from one of the guards and goes to try to kill herself. But Michael takes the knife from her and then, pulls it on her, threatening to kill her.
Don't kill yourself. I'm going to kill yourself. You understand what I mean? Yeah, it's a little ironic.
Yeah. And because she's spent from the Condor, she's like real vulnerable at this point. Just like after she confesses somebody, but like times 10.
Yeah.
Richard tries to go and save her by jumping at Michael, but is like knocked back by the guards.
At first I was going to say, I thought maybe because he had this enemy web, Richard was smaller, like Darken Rahl. We know Richard is a big guy, and so if everybody sees him as skinny little Darken Rahl, then maybe the guards would have had an easier time knocking, air quotes, Darken Rahl, or no, we have a name for him, Darken Richard, back because he was smaller. But now that's all gone, so he's full size. So these guards that just like swat him back real quick have to be pretty big.
Yeah, the Daharans. Apparently Daharans are like giants.
Big ass people. Well, that and these are Darken Rahl's top guys. They gotta be, because this is the climax of his plan. And so I don't think he'd have anybody less than his best in the room with him right now.
Right. And actually, I think a couple chapters ago, I realized just how big the Daharans are because they were like swatting Chase around like a little fly and talking about how they were bigger than him. And he was described as a very large person in the beginning of the book, too. Yeah,
Chase is a big dude.
So the fact that like Daharans in general are, or at least the guards in general, seem to be bigger than Chase, they're pretty meaty guys, I think. Richard starts begging Darken not to hurt Kaylin because he's confessed. And he knows that the only thing he cares about in the world is not having her hurt. Rahl's response is that he's glad that he changed his mind. And that he's come to help everybody. Because, that's what a good guy does.
Yeah, I'm sure they're besties. But Darken Rahl, he really, really likes this. Because this means he's in charge of the situation. Our notes say Big Dick Darken is fully in charge.
That's the feeling I got from him, like, walking around this room.
Yeah.
Swinging it around.
So, Darken says that Kaylin will be taken care of as long as he cooperates, and says Richard has fallen victim to the wizard's first rule. We believe he's referring to Kaylin touching Richard, because she believes that Richard was Darken.
Right. It took us a minute to get there because in the way it's written, it kind of seems a little bit random. He's just like, you're victim to Wizard's first rule. And I was like, why? But that makes the most sense, at least to us.
Yeah, Richard didn't fall for anything. He was a part of it. So Darken stops in front of Zed and he asks him his name. He knows this is the old one. He's been waiting to figure out who it is. And he couldn't figure it out on his own. So Zed tells him his name.
Balls on the table, bitch.
And I'm the guy that killed your daddy. How do you like me now?
There's actually a lot of father killers in the room.
Yeah. So Darken asks if he knew that he was touched by the fire too. And Zed, probably not really realizing this at the time, tells him no, he didn't know that. He's sorry he heard a child, but in this case, I mean, dude, you kind of have it coming. What are you bitching about now?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of deserved it. Well, you didn't maybe deserve it then, but you deserve it now.
But you do now, right. Premature punishment, he called it. And
yeah.
I mean, he's not wrong.
Yeah.
Now, I asked Jade, and I'm curious what all you guys think. Zed doing that to Darken Rahl, is that maybe the reason why Darken Rahl is so fucking grumpy all the time and is like the way he is?